Good morning, Mr. Haverlack, Major General McNair, Colonel and Mrs. Ferris, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, Chief Warrant Officer 5 Johansson, distinguished guests, soldiers, families, and friends. Welcome to the United States Army Priority Air Transport Battalion Change of Command and Change of Responsibility Ceremony. Lieutenant Colonel Heather L. Maki will relinquish command to Lieutenant Colonel Matthew L. Rowland. First Sergeant Christopher L. Brown will relinquish responsibility to First Sergeant Clarence P. Davis. Presiding over today's ceremony is Colonel Prescott R. Ferris, Commander of the United States Army Aviation Brigade. Please stand for the invocation by Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel Todd Wolf.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for leaders who desire your endorsement and enablement so that invoking is requested. Due to this trust in you, please be here, be in our midst, and endow with wisdom, skill, joy, ability, and provision. As Lieutenant Colonel Maki moves on from her tenure as USAPAT's battalion commander, please make the transition smooth and the handover seamless. May her future in the Army be bright and informed, and may Lieutenant Colonel Rowland's command term go well as he leads the battalion according to your plan in honor of you with great justice, mercy, and astute prudence. As First Sergeant Brown relinquishes his responsibility as the senior enlisted advisor for the battalion, please bless his transition to civilian status subsequent to such a distinguished and lengthy career in the Army. May your grace be upon First Sergeant Davis as he assumes battalion responsibility. May his every thought, feeling, and decision be tempered by your insight, fueled by his vast experience and reliance on you, that he leads with tremendous collegiality, even-handedness, sound counsel, and exemplification of professionalism. May this all be a joy to everyone and to you. In the name above all names we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. At this time, a special gift is being presented to Mr. Doug Lane on behalf of the soldiers of USAPAT, reflecting the appreciation for his time with the battalion, supporting its soldiers, civilians, and families. A bouquet of red roses is being presented to Mrs. Catherine Brown on behalf of the soldiers of USAPAT. Red is the color of the heart and reflects the loving concern that she has shown for our soldiers, civilians, and their families. Mrs. Brown's roses are in full bloom, symbolizing the beauty and fulfillment of her time with USAPAT. A corsage of red roses is being presented to First Sergeant Brown's daughter, Olivia, and a personally procured coin is being presented to First Sergeant Brown's sons, Ryan and Wyatt. A bouquet of yellow rosebuds is being presented to Mrs. Carly Rowland. Yellow is the color of friendship and symbolizes her arrival as the new First Lady of the battalion. In time, the rosebuds will blossom, as will Mrs. Rowland's relationship with the soldiers, civilians, and families of USAPAT. Corsages of yellow rosebuds are being presented to Lieutenant Colonel Rowland's daughters, Kaylin and Madeline. A personally procured coin is being presented to his son, Caleb. A bouquet of yellow rosebuds is also being presented to Mrs. Nikema Davis, welcoming her to the command, as well as a corsage of yellow rosebuds for First Sergeant Davis's daughter, Aaliyah, and a personally procured coin for his son, Keenan. Today's ceremony marks the passing of the mantles of command and responsibility from one command team to the next, through the symbolic passing of the unit colors from outgoing to incoming command teams.
Lieutenant Colonel Maki, Lieutenant Colonel Rowland, and Major Ashley will now troop the line. This time-honored tradition allows the outgoing commander to display the readiness and fitness of the unit to the incoming commander prior to passing the torch of command. The United States Army Priority Air Transport Command, located at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, was activated on 1 August 1988 as a jet detachment of the United States Army Davison Aviation Command. Its mission was to provide senior Army leadership and key government officials with fast, long-range, and professional executive transportation throughout the world. USAPAT's first mission carried the then Secretary of the Army, the Honorable John O. Marsh Jr., to Wright Army Airfield, Georgia, MacDill Air Force Base, Florida, and back to Andrews Air Force Base. Since that time, USAPAT has expanded its fleet, providing the capability to travel in excess of 5,000 nautical miles non-stop anywhere in the world. The current inventory of executive aircraft consists of 3 UC-35s, 2 C-37A aircraft, the Normandy and Gettysburg, and 1 C-37B, the Valley Forge, as well as 1 C-20F, the Victory, at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, currently deployed to Afghanistan. USAPAT was realigned under the command of the United States Army Aviation Brigade and the United States Army Military District of Washington in October of 2005, consisting of a headquarters at Joint Base Andrews, Maryland, and a subordinate flight detachment at Joint Base Pearl Harbor, Hickam, Hawaii.
command.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem. Please be seated. The transfer of the unit colors is significant in many ways. The history, traditions, and accomplishments of the United States Army Priority Air Transport Battalion are embodied in the unit colors. First Sergeant Brown will pass the unit colors for the last time to Lieutenant Colonel Maki, the outgoing commander. Lieutenant Colonel Maki will then pass them to the Army Aviation Brigade Commander, Colonel Ferris, which symbolizes the completion of a successful command. Colonel Ferris will pass the unit colors to Lieutenant Colonel Rowland, entrusting him with the care and leadership of USAPAT. Lieutenant Colonel Rowland will then pass the colors to First Sergeant Davis, the senior non-commissioned officer, the backbone of the command, and the keeper of the colors. By authority of Army Regulation 600-20, paragraph 2-5, the undersigned assumes command of the United States Army Priority Air Transport Battalion, effective 14 July 2017. Signed, Matthew L. Rowland, Lieutenant Colonel, Aviation Commanding.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the Army Aviation Brigade, Colonel Prescott R. Ferris.
Well,
that's always a little disconcerting when you walk up and the MC is giving you last-minute instructions. And I'm told that Colonel Maki's speech today is 16 minutes long, so I will keep this as short as I can. Let me start off by saying, well, good morning to everybody. What a great day to be in the Army. What a great day to be a soldier. I want to say good morning to our distinguished guests, commanders, command sergeants, major friends, but most importantly, the soldiers and the families of the United States Army Priority Transportation Battalion. Thank you for joining us today. We're honored to have you here. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to Major General Retired Carl McNair, who is joining us, and Mr. Haverlack as well. And also thank you to the U.S. Army Band Brass Quintet. I'm not a musician, but I'm always amazed at how much sound you can get from that few instruments. So well done. Thank you very much. And then lastly, I want to extend a special welcome to all the families. It's really hard standing around this mic here. I want to extend a special welcome to all the families that are here. I know that Heather's family came all the way from Wisconsin, and then we asked you to drive on both 95, 395, and 495 today, and maybe 295, so you might have hit all the big arteries on a Friday morning, so thanks for braving that. And then also Matt's family here from Washington State, so quite possibly the farthest traveling today. Also had to drive, I'm told, on 495, so good on you, and you have now experienced Washington, D.C. I will tell you, changes of command are always very bittersweet times for me. It's the time when we say goodbye to one great command team and we welcome another. Today is especially bittersweet for me as we say farewell to an exceptional officer and an unparalleled NCO that have brought so much to this unit, and I deeply respect both of them very much. I couldn't be prouder of this team or all the things that this unit has accomplished. A lot of people misunderstand what USAPAT is. It's not the Secretary of the Army's private airline. It's not a privilege of rank, and it's not an indulgence. I see USAPAT as an effects-based organization whose weapon systems are the aircraft that you see in front of you today. USAPAT is a capability that provides a relative advantage to our Army by placing our Army senior leaders at the decisive time in a decisive place to deliver their effects. Because there is only one of each of the passengers that USAPAT flies. Time is their weapon system. And where they commit their time and where they commit that engagement provides our Army a strategic advantage. And this is how we get them there. And when they can't get there, when USAPAT can't get them there, we lose that decisive advantage. So when you think of USAPAT, don't think about VIP, don't think about the fantastic food that the stewards make, although it's pretty fantastic. I want you to think about it as a weapon system to provide our senior leaders that decisive advantage when they commit their time and they commit their engagement. It's more than that. USAPAT's an Army organization. It's an organization made up of the finest pilots, engineers, and flight stewards that our Army has to offer. They're professionals, and they're experts in their field. They prove that before their selection for this assignment, and they prove it during this assignment. Now, don't misunderstand. This is not the case because this assignment is somehow more complex and more challenging than any other of our aviation warfighters that are out there in Blackhawks, Apaches, or Chinooks. But it's because this unit has a culture where excellence is the only acceptable outcome. A culture where there are no excuses for substandard performance. USAPAT shares this culture with other elite Army units, but they all have one thing in common. It's all because of outstanding leadership. Now, of course, leading a team like USAPAT is a unique challenge. It's easier in some respects because of the age, rank, and maturity of its members, but it's also more difficult in some respects because of the age, rank, and maturity of its members. It's one of those organizations that make you ask yourself, how are they doing everything they are doing with the people and resources that they have? And then again, in the end, it all comes down to great leadership. For the past 12 months, Lieutenant Colonel Heather Maki and First Sergeant Christopher Brown have provided that outstanding leadership. Now, they don't do that alone. They've got a great staff. They've got, as we said before, fantastic pilots, engineers, stewards, and support personnel. but they've also got a great family supporting them at home. Heather's husband, Doug, is here today. First Sergeant Brown's wife, Kate, is here today. And they have been a part of our family and a part of our team, and they have been supportive of their soldiers. I want to personally thank you both for the support and sacrifice you and your families have made that allow Heather and Chris to do those things that they do. And thank you for sharing them with our TAB family. Oh, and for Doug, I got a non-paleo lasagna sitting in my freezer. Anytime you want to come on over and have that. So I got a little long-winded here, as I tend to do, but what I really just wanted to do is say thank you. Thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being quality soldiers, tremendous leaders, and what I consider genuinely good people. Thanks for taking care of this great organization that we call USAPAT, and thank you for taking care of the even more important people that make it what it is. Today we also welcome a new command team, Lieutenant Colonel Matt Rowland and First Sergeant Clarence Davis. I've met both of these tremendous soldiers, and I have no doubt that Matt and First Sergeant Davis will continue the tradition of excellence and commitment that is the hallmark of USAPAT. Matt, Carly, Nakamo, welcome to the TAB team. Welcome to the TAB family. Tomorrow's another day, and has been the case for over 242 years. The leaders come and go. Units deploy, redeploy, but the unit, the flag, the mission, and the Army remains. Thank you for having me at today's ceremony. Responders, first class.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing commander, Lieutenant Colonel Heather L. Maki.
Mr. Haverlack, Major General Retired McNair, Colonel and Mrs. Ferris, Mr. Hare, Command Chief Warrant Officers Meyer, Johansson, Torres, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, distinguished guests, family, and friends. And to the USAPAT team, both the soldiers and their families, thank you all for being here today. Thanks to the Old Guard for providing our color guard and the U.S. Army Brass Quintet. You look and sound magnificent. I'd like to start out with a special thank you to my husband, Douglas Lane. He's not only been a great partner, but also my biggest supporter. So thank you, Doug. I also want to recognize my family, including my mom and Ken, Chad and Kim, and with their daughters Holly, Amber, and Ruby, Twyla and Alicia, Tori, Sophia, and Jordan. Thanks for making the trip out from Minnesota. And to Sue and Bruce, Keith and Nancy, April, Ian, and Grace, our family from PA and Maryland, thank you for making the trip as well. I was always told that being a battalion commander would be the most rewarding experience of my career. And I will say that commanding USAPAT did not disappoint. The unit has a 29-year proud history, and over the course of my 2 years in command, my respect for this organization has only continued to grow. One of the main reasons that I wanted this command is that every soldier in USAPAT went above and beyond in his or her MOS or trade in order to be considered for USAPAT. Each soldier was then hand-selected over their peers to be here. The USAPAT soldiers standing before you today, as Colonel Ferris had said, represent some of the finest aviators, flight engineers, chefs, operations officers, staff NCOs, and civilians that the Army has to offer. And when you have a group of people of that caliber, it makes for an exceedingly remarkable team. They are truly leaders among their peers, and we're fortunate to have them all here in one place. USAPAT has a stand section filled with people, if you know them, you'd be impressed with this lineup, but like CW5's Fernando Avila, Rex Finley, CW4's Mark Gibbs, Mike Lovell, Keith Northcutt, and Andre Reed, Sergeant First Class Hoffman, Staff Sergeants Torres, Windhurst, and LaFay. We have a phenomenal duo of Iron Majors with Bo Ashley and Courtney Killick. A wonderful safety officer in Low Key. We have our mission support section led by CW4 Kraft, and our cabin attendants led by a strong NCO, Sergeant First Class Kelly. As Colonel Ferris mentioned as well, our cabin attendants are our culinary experts, and they are the group that we call the face of USAPAT because they are the ones that directly interact with the most senior members of our Army, ensuring both their safety and first-class passenger service during every single flight. They include high-speed sergeants and staff sergeants like Caleb, Henriquez, Ralph, Vereen, Wakaza, Dolker, and Garcia. Our outstanding flight engineers, led by Sergeant First Class Odo, include Staff Sergeant Miles and Sergeants Andrews, Moore, Owens, and Ranson. Our force modernization and maintenance program is led by the perfect team of CW5 Jeff Frere, Master Sergeant Broden, CW5 Dupree, and CW4 Glidewell. Our operations section holds it all together with CW4 Russold and CW3's Stafford, Kenrick, West, Gadsden, and Ramsey. And our power team of NCOs with Staff Sergeant Santos, Cox, Perryman, EB, and Sergeants Davis and Patterson, along with our international planner and sole civilian, Nefri Luciano, who has been a completely invaluable team player. We have a small but efficient staff comprised of professionals like CW4 Brissett, Sergeant First Class Wright, Staff Sergeants Thomas and Fuentes, and our Pacific Flight Detachment, led by Major McGraw and First Sergeant Madden, Warrant Officers Fiala, Willette, Harris, NCOs Nalazinski, Ayala, Fountain, and Porter. Also currently augmenting them on their deployment to Afghanistan from our headquarters, we have CW4 Ramey, Staff Sergeant Nixon, and Sergeant Jenkins. Obviously, I just named a huge slew of people, many of whom are not standing before you because the USAPAT mission never stops. We have several crews traversing the globe as we speak. We have multiple soldiers in training. As I mentioned, we have our Pacific Flight Detachment deployed for the third time since I've taken command. The USAPAT team makes the challenging look seamless, and they do it with absolute professionalism. And like all Army organizations, it's not only the actions of our soldiers alone, but also the support of our family members as well. USAPAT families have to be ready to change plans anytime a mission changes. Our families take care of the dogs, kids, the car, the house, you name it, because we got a mission change. The support of our rock star FRG co-leaders, Michaela Ramey and Mila Odo, have been truly remarkable. Thanks to you both and to the rest of our family members for all your support over the past 2 years. In addition to our internal team, USAPAT success couldn't happen without support from our higher headquarters. Thank you, Colonel Ferris and the TAB, and Mr. Haverlack and MDW, and to the Directorate of Executive Travel with Andy Hare, Mark Milich, and Steve Serchuk. Thank you. We have 2 world-class maintenance teams, our UC-35 team led by Greg Kalwa, and our Gulfstream team led by Randy Sebastian. And we also appreciate the support we get here from Andrews with everything from support with weather, protocol, to civil engineering support. And last but certainly not least in that list, we would like to thank our partners in Hangar 2, the Department of Energy, for their support and continued partnership. Finally, I'm going to thank my battle buddy in the other half of the USAPAT command team. First Sergeant Brown, you have been absolutely awesome. I know I've said it a million times, but I am very, very happy that you stayed through the second year of my command. I've appreciated your wisdom and counsel throughout the last 2 years. You, Kate, and family have been wonderful, and you've been great teammates and friends to Doug and I. To Colonel Matt Rowland, Carly, and Team Rowland, I appreciate the chance to get to know you during our transition, and I like that the Army got it right in selecting you to command. It will be the fastest and most wonderful 2 years of your career. In closing, I'll just say I'm extraordinarily proud to have commanded USAPAT, and I have complete confidence in this team's ability. They are truly first class.
Ladies and gentlemen, the outgoing First Sergeant Christopher L. Brown.
Good morning, Mr. Haverlack, Major General Retired McNair, Colonel Ferris, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, CW5 Johansson, distinguished guests, soldiers, family, and friends. I'd like to sincerely thank the soldiers from the U.S. Army Band and the Old Guard. Your support always makes our ceremonies extra special. Before you are some of the best soldiers anywhere in the United States Army. It's an honor for each of us to support senior officials like the Secretary of the Army and Chief of Staff of the Army aboard the beautiful jets you see behind them. But without these soldiers doing what they do every day, that mission could not happen. It has been the highest honor of my career to serve alongside the professional men and women that I get to call fellow soldiers. I'd like to thank Command Sergeant Major Jones, our former Brigade Command Sergeant Major, and Colonel Thin, our former battalion commander, for the opportunity to be a part of something special here in USAPAT. To the flight stewards, you know I'm still amazed every time we go on a flight and I see what you're doing in a kitchen the size of my desk. You are truly the face of USAPAT, and I appreciate the continuous work you do, always trying to refine your skills. Whether at the culinary competition or right here in our own kitchen, you never fail to impress. To the flight engineers, I can't say enough how much you have shown me the best face of aviation crew chiefs in the Army today. Whether you're troubleshooting a plane with a bullet hole, keeping pilots straight on checklists, or tearing apart a shredder to remove shards of a CD that someone dropped in it, I'm truly happy to have worked by your side. To the staff, you are what maintains this battalion and help me retain some semblance of sanity. In a world of constant movement and change, you have been the bedrock that helped me keep the battalion running and air crews flying. Without your constant involvement in the mission, none of this would be possible. To the officers, I appreciate your support as we have worked together to make this the best battalion in the Army. I'm proud to say that each of you had a lasting impact on me professionally as we've mentored each other to become better leaders. I'd like to acknowledge our soldiers in the Pacific Flight Detachment who are currently deployed to Afghanistan. As you near the end of your deployment, I know your families and the unit are excited to have you back in Hawaii. Lieutenant Colonel Maki, it has been an awesome ride. From climbing a mountain in Hawaii to running monuments in downtown D.C. and even remembering to surprise me for my birthday, you have made the last 2 years special not just for me, but for every soldier in USAPAT that you've interacted with every day of your command. I will always remember you for caring so much for all of your soldiers and tirelessly working to make this unit better. First Sergeant Davis, you are the right person for this position, and I know you'll do an outstanding job leading these fine soldiers. I appreciate the time we've spent together, not just the last couple weeks, but the last couple years as I've known you and see you grow as a First Sergeant in 12th Aviation Battalion. Last but definitely not least, to my family, Kate, Ryan, Olivia, and Wyatt, I appreciate your continued support, even when you may have thought I'd never retire. The time has come to remove my uniform, but I know we'll always be a military family at heart. Everything that has a beginning has an end. My beginning in this Army was as a young man 27 years ago, just 8 days out of high school. The journey has been long, at times difficult, but a commitment I never regretted. And while it may be the end of my Army career, it is just the beginning of a next chapter, and one I look forward to writing. USAPAT's next chapter is about to begin. I'm excited for the new command team and the officers and NCOs that will be here to help mold the unit as we near our 30th anniversary. I know you'll continue to succeed long after I'm gone. Thank you for the ride. Job well done. First class.
Ladies and gentlemen, the First Sergeant of the United States Army Priority Air Transport Battalion, First Sergeant Clarence P. Davis.
Good morning, Mr. Havrilak, Major General Retired McNair, Colonel and Mrs. Ferris, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, CW5 Johansson, distinguished guests, family, and friends. Thank you for your attendance this morning. First and foremost, I would like to thank God because without him, I wouldn't be here and have such a great opportunity. Colonel Ferris, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, I would also like to thank you for this great opportunity and entrusting me to serve as the next senior non-commissioned officer of USAPAT. This is truly a great honor for me and my family. I can assure you that I will take pride in every aspect of my duties and responsibilities. Thank you. Today is a great day. I get to lead a great team. USAPAT, I'm talking about you. You look awesome. I look forward to working alongside each and every one of you. I know I'm taking over a group of motivated soldiers that are always about taking care of each other and accomplishing a mission no matter how big or small it may be. With that, I will provide you with outstanding leadership because you deserve nothing less. This will be a great tour together. I'd like to take a moment to thank First Sergeant Brown for his detailed handover and his introduction to the USAPAT team. Chris, is apparent that you love this unit. Your leadership and dedication to the unit for the past 3+ years will not be forgotten, nor will the soldiers of the unit forget you. You are truly a professional and will be a success as you move on to the next chapter in your life. To my beautiful, perfect, and loving wife, my best friend and my biggest supporter, I love you and I want to thank you for your never-ending support and always being there for me and the kids over the years. A new chapter now begins in our lives. I also like to thank my mother who drove down from Philadelphia. I also like to thank my church family who also drove down for this ceremony. Thank you. Lieutenant Colonel Rowland, I truly feel that we inherited a successful unit. I have been nothing but impressed with every soldier and family member that we have met thus far. I cannot wait to work alongside of you, and as an inseparable and committed command team, we will enhance the proficiency of USAPAT and guide them to the next level together. Again, thank you all for your attendance this morning, and I look forward to the journey that lies ahead. First class.
Ladies and gentlemen, the commander of the United States Army Priority Air Transport Battalion, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew L. Rowland.
Mr. Harlech, Major General Retired McNair, Colonel and Mrs. Ferris, Command Sergeant Major McCabe, CW5 Johansson, distinguished visitors, family, and friends. Thank you all for coming today, and I am truly humbled to be given the opportunity to lead this organization. I have had the fortunate privilege of being a part of this unit for almost 3 weeks now, and over that time, I have realized I have very big shoes to fill. I have received a taste of the professionalism and dedication the officers and NCOs are known for here at USAPAT, and have begun to experience just how well everyone is working together. I am thoroughly excited to see more of this and look forward to continuing to foster the great command climate they have established, as well as further the accomplishments that Lieutenant Colonel Maki, First Sergeant Brown, and their command team have worked so hard to establish. Throughout my life and Army career, God blessed me with extremely supportive and loving parents. I want to thank them today. He has blessed me with superb military leaders who provided great examples and opportunities to succeed, as well as learn from my mistakes. And finally, a truly an amazing wife and family that sacrificed so much to give and support a military career. I promise and pray that I will bring all of this to bear as I glorify Him and serve the soldiers and families of USAPAT as their new commander. Thank you again for your attendance today, and a special thanks to all of those who set up things for this event and the soldiers of USAPAT. You truly look amazing. May God bless the soldiers of USAPAT, the United States military, and the United States of America. First class.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the retiring of the colors and the playing of the Army song. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the USAPAT Change of Command ceremony. Please join us for a reception in the hangar to formally welcome Lieutenant Colonel Rowland, the First Sergeant Davis, and their families to USAPAT. Lieutenant Colonel Maki, First Sergeant Brown, and their families will remain at the podium to bid farewell. Please feel free to tour the C-37B Valley Forge on display. Crew members are standing by to answer any questions you may have. Thank you for attending today's ceremony, First Class.